Airplanes have transformed the way you travel, connect, and explore the world. But have you ever considered what might have happened if the Wright brothers had failed in their groundbreaking quest to build the first successful airplane in 1903? In this thought-provoking post, you will probe into the potential implications of such a failure, exploring how it could have altered the course of technological advancements, transportation, and even global interactions. Join us as we examine the far-reaching consequences of their remarkable achievement and envision a world without powered flight. Historical context. For understanding the impact of the Wright brothers' eventual success in 1903, it is vital to look at the historical context surrounding their work in aviation. The late 19th and early 20th centuries marked a period of intense scientific inquiry and technological advancement. The Industrial Revolution had transformed economies, and a spirit of innovation permeated society. The emergence of various inventions, from the telegraph to the steam engine, set the stage for new ideas to take flight, literally and figuratively. As individuals around the globe sought to unlock the potential for human flight, the groundwork laid by previous inventors and their experiments began to converge into a singular aspiration: to soar through the skies. Early innovations in aviation. After numerous attempts at flight throughout history, small-scale designs began to appear in the late 19th century. Innovators like Otto Lilienthal made significant strides with glider designs, demonstrating the principles of lift and control. His extensive gliding experiments provided vital data and inspired future aviation pioneers, including the Wright brothers. The lessons learned from Lilienthal's unfortunate accidents highlighted the importance of stability and control, themes that would resonate in the Wright brothers' eventual design and testing. By the dawn of the 20th century, there was a palpable excitement in the air, as inventors around the world dedicated themselves to making powered flight a reality. Pioneers before the Wright brothers. Brothers. It is crucial to acknowledge those who laid the groundwork before the Wright brothers took flight. Several individuals had made significant contributions to the understanding of flight mechanics, inspiring future innovations. Some early pioneers include Sir George Cayley, who designed the first successful heavier-than-air flying machine, and Alberto Santos Dumont, who conducted public flight demonstrations in Europe. Inventors across various countries contributed their findings on aerodynamics, propulsion systems, and wing design, reflecting a collective ambition that transcended borders. This collaborative spirit in the aviation field was crucial, as it ultimately shaped the trajectory of human flight. For instance, various inventors had conceived of flight as early as the Renaissance, though it was the 19th century that solidified many theories and ideas into practical designs. The works of men like Cayley, who unveiled the concept of a fixed-wing aircraft, and Hiram Maxim, who attempted to build a powered flying machine, provided crucial insights and blueprints that the Wright brothers would later build upon. Their experiments may not have reached the skies, but they undeniably inspired the Wrights and others to push forward with their designs, setting the stage for the first successful powered flight and the evolution of aviation that followed. The Wright brothers' contributions. One of the greatest contributions of the Wright brothers lies in their innovative approach to flight. Through their persistent experimentation and refusal to accept prior limitations, they laid the groundwork for modern aviation. Elevating the conversation about human flight from mere fantastical dreams to tangible engineering feats, you can appreciate the importance of their contributions to both science and society. Their passion and dedication have inspired countless others to pursue aerospace engineering and take the skies to new heights. Key technologies and designs. After years of rigorous testing and fine-tuning, the Wright brothers developed several significant technologies that revolutionized the way we understand and navigate flight. They introduced the concept of wing warping for better control and devised a three-axis control system that allowed pilots to manage their aircraft effectively. Such innovations ensure that what was once a dream became a reality, and by studying their designs, you can trace the evolution of aviation technology that continues to influence aircraft design today. Significance of the 1903 flight. Before the Wright brothers took to the skies, countless inventors had tried and failed to create a powered aircraft. The significance of their 1903 flight cannot be overstated, as it marked the first time a heavier-than-air machine achieved controlled, powered flight. For you, understanding this historical event means grasping its impact on human transportation, military tactics, and global connectivity. This flight laid the foundation for an industry that would shape the 20th century and beyond. With this pioneering flight on December 17, 1903, the Wright brothers not only achieved their dream but also captured the imagination of a world longing for new possibilities. Their successful 12-second flight was more than just a moment of triumph. It represented the culmination of years of research, testing, and unwavering belief in their vision, demonstrating to you that innovation often arises from perseverance and determination. The implications of their achievement began to unfold rapidly, setting the stage for the modern age of aviation that we are familiar with today. Potential alternatives to the airplane. Even if the Wright brothers had not succeeded in their quest to invent the airplane, the desire for human flight would not have dissipated. You would likely witness alternative modes of aviation emerging from the minds of innovative inventors. The quest for flying machines would continue, but perhaps it would take on different forms. Concepts like ornithopters, which mimic the flapping of bird wings, or dirigibles, which are large airships filled with lighter-than-air gases, could have become more prevalent. These alternatives may have offered a slower, albeit fascinating means of air travel, reshaping how you envision the skies. Other inventors and their experiments. At the turn of the 20th century, several inventors were passionate about realizing the dream of flight, even if they didn't achieve mainstream success like the Wright brothers. You might have encountered names like Octave Chanute, whose glider experiments inspired many, or Alberto Santos Dumont, a Brazilian aviator who was creating his lighter-than-air machines. Their trials and errors would catch your attention as you explored the inventions that may have captured the public's imagination. Each of these pioneers contributed valuable insights and designs, potentially paving the way for future endeavors of flight that did not rely on the Wright brothers' invention. Impact of these innovations. Against the backdrop of the aviation race, the innovations of these other inventors could have led to a different landscape of transportation. If you consider how a society adapts to new technologies, the development of air travel might have progressed at a slower pace, focusing instead on railways and waterways for efficient travel. The potential impact of more primitive flying machines might have provided a glimpse into a future shaped by various inventions, from the hot air balloon rides of the 19th century to more advanced forms of air transportation that still did not rely on powered flight as we know it today. To imagine the alterations in the course of history, you could think about how travel would have evolved. Innovations in ballooning and other soaring concepts could have fueled exploration and commerce at a different rate, with airships handling long-distance journeys while contributing to advancements in navigation. You might find that these early alternatives could have led to a prolonged reliance on ground transportation, reshaping industry and culture in profound ways. The dream of flight would remain alive, but without the Wright brothers' vision to ignite the momentum of aviation as you know it, society's connection to the skies may have progressed more cautiously, clinging to the marvels of terrestrial advancements. Economic and social implications. Despite the groundbreaking advancements that the Wright brothers' invention brought to the world, envisioning a reality where they failed to invent the airplane opens up a different economic and social landscape. You would likely find yourself in a world where ground travel and maritime transportation remain the primary means of long-distance travel. This limitation would significantly affect global trade patterns, as the speed and efficiency of shipping goods by air dramatically outstrips that of traditional methods. As a consequence, you would observe slower economic growth and less interconnectivity among countries, leading to a more insular approach to commerce, less international competition, and fewer opportunities for cross-border exchanges. The ideals of globalization, which took flight with air travel, would be far less advanced, inhibiting cultural exchange as well. The impact on transportation and trade. After considering the effects of delayed or entirely absent airplane development, your understanding of transportation would remain rooted in conventional methods. Ground transportation, such as trains and automobiles, would grow and might even dominate in areas that relied heavily on air cargo. With longer travel times due to congestion on roads and railways, your experience when ordering international goods would be characterized by significant delays. Prices for locally produced goods might remain stable, but imported items would likely become more expensive due to longer shipping times and increased demand for sea routes. Consequently, industries reliant on rapid transport, such as perishables or urgent deliveries, would struggle, pushing you to rely more deeply on local markets or less efficient channels for goods. Effects on war and military strategy. Below the surface of civilian life, you would witness a tangible alteration in military strategy and global power dynamics. Without the airplane to change the landscape of warfare, conflicts would largely play out on the ground and at sea. Traditional military engagements would require vast numbers of soldiers and reliance on artillery, rather than aerial reconnaissance or bombing capabilities. This shift would necessitate more resource allocation for land forces, leading to an increase in troop casualties and extended timelines for resolving conflicts. You might also find militaries investing more in naval power, as control of the seas becomes the primary focus for securing trade routes and projecting influence. Impact would manifest not only in tactics and logistics, but also in the balance of global power. Nations with strong naval capabilities would hold significant advantages, potentially resulting in a more Eurocentric dominance as sea routes were utilized for imperial expansion. Airborne reconnaissance that provides necessary conflict intelligence would be absent, leading to longer stalemates and less effective strategies. Additionally, the arms race you are familiar with today, shaped by advancements in aerial capabilities, would revert to a focus on artillery and infantry, thus dramatically influencing how wars are declared and fought in your imagined scenario. Changes in technological development. Your understanding of the aviation industry is deeply connected to the innovations that were sparked by the Wright brothers. If they had failed to invent the airplane in 1903, you would notice significant shifts in how aviation technology progressed. The absence of their pioneering flight might have delayed advancements that followed, such as the development of jet engines and commercial air travel. The excitement surrounding early aviation would be greatly diminished, potentially leading to a stagnation in technological investment and research directed toward flight. Thus, without the Wright brothers' success, you could see a scenario where aviation remains a distant dream rather than a tangible aspect of modern life. The ripple effect on aviation industry. Beside the obvious absence of the airplane as a mode of transport, the effects of the Wright brothers' failure would permeate the entire aviation industry. Aircraft manufacturers, airline companies, and airports would either not exist or operate under vastly different circumstances. The leap from manned flight to heavy-lift aircraft would likely take decades longer, meaning that military operations, humanitarian efforts, and global trade would rely on slower, less efficient forms of transport. You would notice that the landscape of how goods and people move around the world would be fundamentally different, giving rise to alternate technologies in shipping and land travel instead. Influence on other technologies. Changes in the aviation narrative could also stymie advancements in associated fields like telecommunications and materials science. The race for flight inspired many innovations, from lightweight materials to advanced navigation systems. Your access to these cutting-edge technologies might have been delayed or redirected completely, influencing society's evolution in numerous ways. This could have hampered advancements in communication satellites that today rely on principles established through aviation engineering. It illustrates how intertwined technological innovations can be. Failure in one area often leads to setbacks in others. For instance, advancements in aerodynamics, which stemmed from aviation research, enhanced various automotive designs and improved fuel efficiency in vehicles. Without the Wright brothers pushing the boundaries of what was possible, the cross-pollination of ideas that generally accelerates innovations would lag significantly, resulting in a cascade of slower technological progress across multiple domains. Cultural impact. Unlike the widely recognized narrative that has shaped your understanding of human ingenuity and ambition, the absence of the Wright brothers' invention of the airplane would have led to profound cultural consequences. You would find a world where the idea of human flight remains a distant dream, stunting imagination and creativity across various fields, including literature, art, and technology. Without the airplane, concepts of travel and exploration would be significantly constrained, limiting how you perceive boundaries in your personal and collective narratives. The sense of adventure and freedom associated with flying would evaporate, perhaps leaving society with a deeper reliance on terrestrial concerns and a more parochial worldview. Public perception of flight. One of the most significant shifts you would experience in a world without airplanes is the public perception of flight itself. In your reality, flight would be steeped in mythology and mystique, often regarded as a fanciful endeavor rather than a tangible possibility. Without the Wright brothers to popularize and normalize flying, your understanding would likely be shaped by fantastical stories instead of real-world innovations. The dream of soaring through the skies might be relegated to the realms of fiction and fantasy, leaving you yearning for what might have been rather than celebrating technological advancement. The role of aviation in popular culture. After the Wright brothers' pioneering success, aviation quickly found its place in the fabric of popular culture. You would have seen various films, books, and artworks draw inspiration from the excitement and ambition surrounding flight. However, without the advent of the airplane, your media landscape would be markedly different. There would be fewer heroic figures, fewer tales of daring exploits in the air, and perhaps a more subdued view of exploration and human potential. Airplanes would have been absent from the iconic imagery that inspires dreams of adventure and freedom, leaving a cultural vacuum that keeps you grounded in a terrestrial existence. The role of aviation in popular culture has fundamentally shifted societal narratives around adventure and exploration. You would find that cinema, literature, and even music would lack the rich tapestry of stories revolving around flight, characters launching on airborne quests, and the visceral thrill of soaring above the clouds. Your cultural references, what inspires, motivates, and excites you, would be closely tied to the limits of trains, ships, and automobiles, constraining your imagination and innovation. Without the airplane, your perception of the world would be rooted in a slower, more manageable perspective, foregoing the exhilarating notion that the sky is not the limit, but the beginning of endless possibilities. To wrap up as a reminder, considering a scenario where the Wright brothers failed to invent the airplane in 1903 opens up a myriad of possibilities for the evolution of aviation and transportation. You might find it intriguing to think about how such a failure could have delayed the rapid advancements that followed, including the development of commercial air travel and military aviation. The world as you know it could have faced slower technological progress, potentially prolonging dependence on ground transport, which in turn may have impacted globalization and the interconnectedness of cultures. Without air travel, your life experiences and opportunities may have been significantly different, limiting both personal and professional horizons. Furthermore, the ripple effect of this failure might have extended into various sectors such as tourism, international trade, and even scientific research. You could ponder how the aspirations of explorers and adventurers, as well as the endeavors of companies and nations, would have shifted in the absence of powered flight. The legacy of innovation that followed the successes of the Wright brothers could potentially have been replaced by other technological advancements, but you may find it hard to envision a world that so seamlessly integrated air travel into everyday life without that pivotal moment in 1903. Overall, this alternative history serves to underscore the profound impact that innovation has on society and how interconnected our world truly is.